Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Unfortunately, Napoli have lost the Supercup, the Italian Supercup 2-0 against Juventus in what was a very cagey game, guys. I am just trying to read some of your comments right now before I start my analysis of the game, trying to get a feel of what you guys are saying, how you guys feel. I certainly don't feel very great about this result, about the match in general. I thought it was such a bland, stupid performance by Napoli in so many different ways, and we'll see that in the discussions. We'll have a chance to talk about it. I have a full player ratings, guys. Every single player that stepped foot onto this field for Napoli. So stick around for when we go over those player ratings, and we'll discuss if you guys agree or not. But let's take a look at some of your comments right now, because I'm sure some of you are just as frustrated, if not more, than me. And today's actually quite hard for me to do this live 2 minutes after Napoli lost the final against rivals Juventus. So let's start from the very top. Anyways, Diego Marquez is starting off the very start of the chat a long time ago saying Insigne freaking blew it. New spot kicker definitely needed, guys. About Insigne and his penalties, guys. Last year, he missed a really bad one against Lecce. And luckily, we managed to retake it and he scored. But the way he kicked that ball was ridiculous. No power, no nothing, no motivation. Anyways, this year, we've gotten 2-3 penalties recently. And he's kicked them really well, guys. Insigne has improved a lot on his penalty kicks. So there was no reason for anybody else to take the penalty, because I've never seen Lozano take a penalty. Mertens had been kicked in the ankle, he's half injured. Zielinski, maybe. But apart from that, you've only really got Insigne in the team who can take the penalty. So I don't think the problem today was necessarily Insigne taking the penalty, but more of how he missed it. How? It was such a bad miss. Anyways, let's scroll a bit more down to some of the more recent comments. And El Wise is saying, I generally think someone like Boga on the left would be so much better. Insigne can't dribble past people who know how to defend. We always see it. Guys, Boga was someone that we tried to get over the summer transfer market. He would have made probably a difference in today's cagey game. We saw Cuadrado play for Juventus in this game, and he was quite good at his dribbling. He was dynamic. Sometimes Insigne he's very creative, very good at passing, very technical player, but sometimes he doesn't have the capacity to get past players. Even the assist that he did last weekend with Fiorentina to Lozano, he didn't really get past players. He sort of found a bit of space in between them, but it's not like he can get past them. And that's sort of what we're missing on that left-hand side with Insigne, is that sometimes we need to get past people, not just create some space with a few good touches, which is something that, for example, Lozano on the right does really well, but we need it on the left. So you're right, maybe Boga was someone that we actually needed a bit more than we thought so. Let's take a look at some of your more recent comments. You guys are commenting a lot. I'm sorry if I can't get through all of your comments and discuss all of our thoughts basically as you're typing, because there's quite a high chat rate at the moment. Alex Juarez is saying, I thought Zielinski was having a good game with them, and in the second half, Juve were on them. Yeah, guys, I thought Zielinski had an average game, nothing too great, a few good touches, some nutmegs, his usual flair. At the same time, he didn't have the best of his performance. And you know what, guys? How about in 2 minutes time, when we get a few more people into this stream, I'll go over the player ratings so that we can discuss every single player very shortly. Let's wait 2 more minutes to get everyone into the stream. There's 36 of you. Thank you to the 36 that have already signed up. And I know you guys are mad just like me, but do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. There's been so many new subscribers recently. We passed 800, so many likes on recent videos. Thank you. That is because of your support that the channel is growing. So let's read some of your comments a bit more. Arman is saying, we cut back so many times we had a potential counter-attack. That is, I totally agree with you, man. There was so many times that Napoli found themselves maybe not in numerical superiority against Juventus, but definitely we could have hurt them a bit more. But we slowed the play down, and we didn't really commit. There was never a clear chance in this game where Napoli committed. There was just once where Demme decided to take the ball and go with it. But apart from that, you know, we lacked that killer instinct on the counterattacks. We didn't do any good counterattack. And I really thought that Napoli was going to hurt Juve on the counter. You know, they've got Bonucci and Chiellini at the back, and I thought we could exploit our speed against them. But actually, Juventus played a very, very smart game. They had Danilo and they had Cuadrado playing very deeply. And so whenever Napoli did try to attack with Insigne and Lozano, Danilo and Cuadrado stayed back and kept them very, very quiet and allowed Bonucci or Chiellini to double up on them. They also had an amazing amount of pressure. Guys, as I said, 2 minutes passed. Let's go over some of the player ratings just from the very start, and then we'll go over some tactics of the game. We'll go over some key moments. There's something like 15 different screenshots in this game. It's a big game. I had to do it for you guys, and we'll go over everything that went wrong for Napoli. But first, player ratings. And guys, check this out. I hope you guys like this this little graphic over here. We can all see the player ratings all together for every single player. Let's see if you guys agree. Let me know in the comment section if you don't agree. So I'm going to start off with Gattuso, 5.5, guys, because I don't think Napoli did anything great in attack. There was, as I said, there was Lozano with 2 chances, one that Demme created by himself and one in the 93rd minute. Other than that, absolutely nothing for the whole game. I thought it was too defensive. We had just won 6-0 against Fiorentina. Juventus had lost against Inter from the very first 2 minutes. Napoli should have gone in there and put them under pressure and showed Juventus that we were going to be in control of the game. Instead, we sat back. Juventus got control of the game, and when a team like Juventus, with players like Ronaldo, Kulusevski, gets control of the game, Arthur, Bonucci, Chiellini, when they get control of the game, they don't lose it. Either you get it from the start or nothing, is my opinion on that. So 5.5 to Gattuso. The only thing that saves him actually from a 5 is the fact that in the end, he put both Llorente, Mertens and Politano on the field with Insigne, Lozano and Zielinski already on there. So super attacking formation. He went all out. I'm happy he did that. No regrets in that regard. But still, for me, that's too low, 5.5. Michele Genoa is saying Zielinski 6 is too high, lost so many balls and overall pretty lazy performance. Guys, I think Zielinski, he honestly tried his best in my opinion. I thought he was quite alone in that number 10 area. I don't think Insigne and Lozano were supporting him as much as they do in different games. I thought we were defensive a bit too much. And, you know, whenever he did find himself in between the Juventus lines, Petagna wasn't moving for him. So what is a man like Zielinski supposed to do when his teammates are not creating that movement for him? But as I say, I didn't really like his performance. I didn't necessarily like Lozano. He had 2 chances that maybe he could have done better. He didn't score. You know, if it was just the one, I would have said, okay, yep, but 2 half chances, you got to take one of them in a cup final. But still, the worst player on the field has to be Insigne with the missed penalty. And yeah, just what can we say about that? Just the missed penalty on the 80th minute. That's how, guys, Juventus scored their first goal off a corner. This was the only way a goal was going to be scored today. Corners, free kicks, penalties, something like that. So when you have the chance to score on a penalty, you got to take it. Juventus took their chance on a corner. We didn't take it on the penalty. Then, of course, they scored the second goal on the 95th minute on a counter. But that's completely different. The game was over at that point. What else are you guys saying? Elmas with a 6. I thought, he didn't really have a very bad game, but I thought it was still somewhat of an improvement from Bakayoko. I thought Bakayoko lost way too many balls, and it was his fault that we conceded the first goal in the corner. Another bad display or another bad performer was Manolas with a 5.5. It was his fault that Juventus even got the corner in the first place, and we'll see that in some of the photos that I have. I thought players who played really well were Demme, putting lots of pressure, going forward very well, defending very well, and Koulibaly, he was on it. He was defending all over the field. It was great from Koulibaly, and Ospina and Di Lorenzo, they did what they could. Di Lorenzo, I think maybe could have done a bit more. Definitely Mario Rui could have done a bit more. Mario Rui did find himself a bit more often in the Juventus he did attack more, so he was potentially going to hurt Juventus a bit more, but he didn't do anything with his crosses, so that's why he gets a bit of a lower grade, whereas Di Lorenzo, I think, was asked to be somewhat more defensive, and Ospina, he was there ready when called upon. Obviously we conceded some goals, but I don't think they were necessarily his fault. Anyways, let's go into let's see what you guys are saying actually from these player ratings. Petagna tried though, it just didn't fit. ID Beats is saying, guys, unfortunately sometimes, trying is not enough. It's a cup final. It's Petagna's only real cup final that he's ever going to play as a starter. He's never going to be in another team that's going to reach cup finals apart from Napoli. No other big club's going to buy him, let's be honest. Probably in the next few years, if we ever do get into a cup final, there's going to be someone like Mertens, someone like Osimhen playing in front of him. So this was his big chance, and he blew it. He didn't do enough. I needed to see more from him. He sometimes gave the ball away when he came back to defend. So that's why for me, he's a 5.5. He really needed to do so much more today. He had a much better performance against Fiorentina. What are we saying? Jesse Komito Gianni is saying Bakayoko was the worst to me. Insigne had some good moments in the first 45. I know Insigne had some good moments, but he missed a crucial penalty. If he didn't have those good moments, he'd probably be at a 4.5. And Bakayoko, I thought he was so lazy today. Just he seemed asleep in so many different cases, that he was losing the ball, getting caught in possession in the corner. The ball bounced off him. He didn't know where the ball was. For me, he was asleep, this guy, today. I don't know what was wrong with him, and that's why Gattuso took him off and put Elmas in. And Elmas didn't have a good game. He was actually pretty poor, but it was slightly better than Bakayoko, and that's what I tried to show with the 5.5 and the 6 over there. Before anyone rips into me why I put Elmas as a 6, guys, I don't think it was as bad as Bakayoko, in my opinion. What are we saying? Hazuke is saying Ospina 0.5 higher, in my opinion. Best Napoli player with Demme and Koulibaly. I think so too. It's just very difficult, I think, in a game where there's not that many shots and you still concede 2 goals to get higher than a 6.5. I'm being generous. Or I think I'm being fair with a 6.5 for Ospina. And there was a time where he did come out, but Ronaldo got his foot into it before him, and it could have easily been a goal. So it was a mistimed coming out by Ospina, but it didn't lead to anything. But still, for me, 6.5 is correct for Ospina. Daniel Bowen is saying there's too much backwards passing from Napoli. Yes, we were extremely scared, and that's reflected in Gattuso's rating 5.5. I'd also like to explain Mertens with a 7. I thought Mertens, he came on, and as I said, in these cup finals, there's only a few ways you're going to score. You're going to score on a penalty, on a free kick, on a corner, on a set piece, something like that. And Mertens was the only player for Napoli that got us this. He got us the penalty, put his foot in the right place, and that's really all he could do, because there was no way we were going to score from open play. So, Danny Baum is saying, when are we going to learn how to score from corners? Sarri was there when we scored it from last. No, guys, we did score recently from corners, but yes, we don't score enough. Let's go over, before we go into the match stats, we have quite a lot of you guys here, 54 of you. Let's go over some of the key moments in this game. So guys, number one that I'm going to show is on the 14th minute, 0-0 KG game, and Ospina, normally he would pass the ball to Koulibaly. However, this time he passes the ball all the way out to the midfield, eventually losing the ball. And for me, this was a sign of things to come. It was a sign of Napoli being extremely scared of playing with the ball. There were so many long balls to Insigne, to Lozano, to Petagna, to Zielinski. It was completely a different approach from Napoli. And guys, we always say to Ospina, we always ask for Ospina to throw the ball long, but I think that when a team is accustomed to playing it short and they start throwing it long, it means that they're scared. And you don't want to approach a final being scared, guys. So for me, that was the first mistake from Napoli, okay? So now let's look at another piece of pressing by Juventus. So Juventus here, 4 against 3, where Napoli lost the ball, guys. For me, this was another red flag for us. We didn't have enough players supporting one another. I thought Juventus were super aggressive, and I thought, all right, they came at us strong in the first 45 minutes, but surely this pressing will die down and Napoli can assert their dominance on this game. But guys, Juventus never really stopped this sort of pressing. They kept at it, and Napoli never got control of the midfield. And you can see also in this picture, Bakayoko, I think, is way too far from Zielinski. When Zielinski receives the ball here, it is a big ask of him to turn and pass the ball to Bakayoko. For some of you, it seems an easy pass, but that is a 20-meter pass. So much can go wrong in that pass. Bakayoko is way too far from me, guys. Now, let's go on to another piece of red flag moment for me in the first half. 7 minutes in, 6 Juve players in the box. For me, the defense here is positioned extremely badly. I don't think anyone's marking anyone. There might be only Ronaldo and Arthur being marked, and that's it, guys. Everyone else was free. For me, this was red flags. Napoli, from this moment, I knew they were not in the game. Anthony Navarro, by the way, right now is saying, damn, Instagram is roasting Insigne at the moment. Guys, I really hope Insigne is not crucified too much. He missed a penalty. Baggio missed a penalty in the World Cup final in 1990. The great players, they take the responsibility. They miss penalties. However, I'm not justifying him. I'm just saying let's not crucify him either, because whether you like it or not, guys, we do need Insigne. The one thing that I liked in Napoli's game today was Demme. You guys probably think I have some sort of man crush on Demme, but I really like how he plays. Demme here, look at his pressing. I want you guys to memorize this picture. It seems any other normal piece of pressing, but it's not, for 3 reasons, guys. This is why Demme is so crucial. He presses Arthur, who is the guy who is going to basically make the play for Juventus. But look at how he presses. Arthur is being pressed when he's facing his own goal, which means that if Demme's pressing goes badly, it's very unlikely that Arthur can also turn around very quickly and pass the ball onwards. He presses when the players in front are facing their own goal, so it pushes them back. It's not like what Fabian does, that he goes face to face. Demme goes like this, and this is how you press. Also, and you got to note that he presses when you've got Insigne, Petagna, Lozano, and Zielinski all up there supporting him. He's not doing it by himself, guys. Pressing one person is worthless. It has to be as a block. The whole team or the whole forward guys have to press. If it's just one guy, it doesn't work. And the third reason why it's such good pressing is because Bakayoko, he knows, is far back. If Bakayoko was closer, it would have been risky for Demme to be all the way up there. But he chooses his timing right. He knows that Bakayoko is covering, and so he's saying to himself, okay, it's time to press the ball. So This is why Demme is so key. I'm so glad I finally found a perfect screenshot to explain this to some of you guys. And I'll compare this maybe with Fabian, who presses when, he's facing the guy and other players are not in the correct positions, etc. like that. But this shows how Demme is so good at pressing. And Demme was the guy who gave us the one chance in the first half. He gets the ball, drives into the penalty area, and Lozano makes a great run to go in from behind Danilo to get in front and gets a good header onto the ball, and Szczesny makes a great save there, a world-class save that any goalkeeper, including Buffon on the bench, would have been extremely proud of. But so Lozano tried, Demme were trying, but it wasn't enough. That was the only thing we did in the first half. And then in the second half, I thought, right, Gattuso's going to have a word with these guys. He's going to tell them, guys, we got to change our attitude. But then within minutes of the second half starting, just look at how Juventus could cut through us and they had a really good chance with McKinney getting in behind Koulibaly and Manolas. This is why Manolas is also rated so low. Look at the space between him and Koulibaly. It is way too big of a space between him and Koulibaly. McKinney can slice right through. This leaves Koulibaly with a huge dilemma. If he follows McKinney, then the other player next to him is going to be facing goal side. So Manolas is super out of position here, guys. Super, super out of position. And I think Di Lorenzo is a bit too far from the person on the ball. If he's pressing him more, it gives him less time to pick out such a good pass. This almost led to a Juventus goal, but luckily, after a few kicks in the middle of the area, Bernardeschi's shot got saved by Ospina, great save, and for a few millimeters, it didn't result in a goal. But you have to ask questions of the Napoli defense, and especially Manolas. What was he doing in that position? And guys, I hope you guys are following this. I know you guys are liking this analysis because the likes are going up tremendously. Thank you to everyone doing that. Thank you so much. But yeah, you can see how Napoli were struggling. I showed you guys some moments in the first half. I showed you guys some moments now. And it was really surprising how it came right as the half started, because I thought Gattuso was going to give them a big shout. And then I think the biggest moment of the game was this one, guys. The biggest moment was when Manolas decided to, under no pressure at all, in my opinion, he decided to take the ball away from Ospina and kick it, and it was a horrible kick. It could have gone anywhere. It could have been an own goal, but it ended up becoming a corner. And for me, that was just lazy defending. His body was not in the right position, leaning back. He could have done so much better. I don't think Koulibaly. I think Koulibaly would have done a better job, although this happened to Koulibaly against Juventus a few years ago. But it was just a bad mistake by Manolas, which led to the corner. Juve take the corner. It hits. Manolas is sleeping over there. Doesn't get to the ball. The player behind him doesn't get to the ball. Bakayoko is completely sleeping there. Hits him on the shoulder. He doesn't even know what happened. On the replay, Ronaldo scoring and Bakayoko is still looking for the ball, guys. So, anyways, Ronaldo is scoring, and Ospina, what can he do from there? It's either it hits his hands or nothing. There's no amount of reaction that could have helped Ospina in that particular moment when Ronaldo scored. And then it seemed like for all the world that the game was over. Napoli wasn't responding. The game was messy. And then this happened. Mertens comes onto the field and he gets a penalty awarded. But the referees, he took about 2 minutes to decide that this was a penalty. How in the world did he not even want to go and check VAR? He had to be called back by basically the whole Napoli bench. I think he heard shouts all the way from Naples, guys, to go check VAR because this was a clear penalty. Thankfully, they did it. It would have been an embarrassment to Italian football worldwide if they didn't give it. And then, I think the game, the moment that could have changed the whole inertia of the game, because if Insigne scored this penalty, Napoli were going to be on the front foot. 100% Napoli were going to be on the front foot. Our formation was still not totally offensive yet, so we could have, handled Juventus. It wasn't, we were already all out and we had to do extra time with 7 attackers. It was controlled at that point still, and just a bad miss by Lorenzo Insigne. And before I go on to the next slides, I'm just going to see some of your comments, what you guys are saying. Daniel Boeing is saying, personally, not losing sleep over this one, but Insigne will lose some for sure. Guys, it meant a lot for Insigne, because this would have been Insigne's 100th goal for Napoli. He would have made a century of goals for Napoli. Instead, he misses. And this is basically Insigne's story with Napoli. It could have been so great. 100 goals for Napoli against Juventus in a final. What more could you want? It's all set up for you. All the stars are aligned, and then you decide to totally ruin it. And that's pretty much Insigne at Napoli. It seems so promising at times, and then he does some really stupid things like miss penalties and get red cards against Inter and all that sort of stuff. It just seems to be like that's what he does. But I still think he's got an important role to play at Napoli, and so I don't want to beat him too hard on this one. What else are you guys are saying? Danny Baum is saying, everyone expects so much from him. It's like Messi from Argentina. It's true, guys. Everyone does expect a lot from Insigne. It is like Messi with Argentina. I do think that actually Messi might have a little bit more pressure, but it's a very similar story there, guys, because they both are sort of, these regarded as the next Maradona. It's impossible to be the next Maradona. They all, they're both the best players on the team, I think, technically, in my opinion, and they're both quite emotional players, and it's tough on them. It really is tough. And then, guys, after that, it was just complete chaos in the last 5 minutes. This is really funny. Ospina deciding to pull a Neuer, getting the ball into the midfield. I thought, I look at all the space Ospina had, guys. I'm actually disappointed. He wasn't just like, you know what? Screw this, guys. I'm going for it. There was. I don't understand why he didn't do that. There's so much space. I think Ospina, he's so good with the ball. He should have done it. But, whatever, guys. It's the 93rd minute. But we did have one other good chance in there. We had Lozano that could have scored. And, here he liberates himself. He gets that extra yard of space, which is good. And then he shoots it straight at Szczesny. It would have been, I think, impossible to score, because if he angled it more, I think the Juventus player would have actually intercepted that ball. So really, he had only a slight corridor to play that ball into, and just had to hope for the best, guys. It was unfortunately unlucky, and then the 2-0 came. I can't even comment this because look at this defense. But, it is the 95th minute. We were playing all-out attack. This is the classic sweaty goal on FIFA when you're playing all-out attack and you end up losing 2-0. So, guys, that was 15 slides of what happened in the game. I am super interested to know some of your comments before we look at some of the match stats and dive deeper into the game still. Let's see what you guys are saying. Anthony is saying he would splash some cash for Messi's contract. Guys, imagine Messi comes to Napoli and he cracks under pressure more than Insigne. That would be bad. Danny Palm is saying bring back Cavani. Guys, Cavani would have actually probably been, this is gonna sound silly, guys. But between Messi and Cavani, I would have preferred Cavani, because he knows the environment, he thrived in it, and he's a pure goal scorer. That's exactly what we need. Just a pure goal scorer, someone with passion, someone who really cares about the club. So I would have actually gone for Cavani, and he's probably cost a third less in terms of salary than Messi. But this is all fantasy football talk, so it is what it is. This is our team, guys. We win with this team, we lose with this team. We don't draw very much with this team, so it's either win or loss. But this is what we've got at the moment. Let's see what else you guys are saying. ID Beats is saying we need more moderators, guys. I'm sorry if there's a few bots in the chat. Pranav Jain is saying no one's saying bench Insigne, but he should at least get rested for a game or two. And Zielinski can't just be playing each and every game. Guys, we don't have options. Who do we have that we can play at the moment? Mertens is not even fit to play more than 20 minutes. Petagna barely made it today. What could we have done? Who would have played instead of Insigne? We would have had to play Elmas. But if you play Elmas right now instead of Insigne, that means we would have had no subs for the midfield. We would have just had Lobotka. So it was that kind of game that Gattuso had to play. Instead, if you keep Elmas on the bench, then you could have him as a jolly. He can come in as a midfielder or for Insigne if, for example, Insigne gets hurt or a midfielder gets hurt. So, when you guys are picking a starting 11 or when the coach is picking a starting 11, he has to think about how could the game evolve and what is best to have on the field. Is it better to have Insigne or is it better to have Elmas? And the answer is always Elmas because he's more versatile than Insigne, and that's sort of what you want, with your substitutes, so that you can adapt it to however the game is going. What else are we guys saying? Lawrence Moore is saying, we lose this one, but now we go on to Serie A and make sure we get top 4. Let's go in Europa. Forza Napoli sempre. Guys, that is the most important thing for Napoli at the moment. Serie A, yes, I know that winning the Supercup would have been nice. I would have loved to do a stream where we were all celebrating, pop champagne. It would have been the start of potentially a run of games where we have our confidence back up and all that. Think about Lazio last season. Lazio in December last year, they beat Juventus. They won 3-1 against Juventus, and until COVID hit, they were on fire, and it must have been also thanks to that win against Juventus in the Supercup final, because that gives you that self-belief, that motivation, that things are going in the right direction, and that's why this game is important, not because of the cup. No one cares about the Supercup. No one cares. Well, I mean, it is important, but not that much. What's important is our confidence, our self-belief, and injuries, stuff like that, how our players are mentally. If that starts to fade, if that starts to go down, then obviously it's a big problem for Napoli. And this was why it was so key not to lose this game. And Insigne missing that penalty, that could destroy him for weeks to come because of how emotional he is. So, Lawrence, you're right. We lost this one. Let's aim for top 4. But because of this result, it's going to affect our season. It's definitely going to affect our season. Guys, let's take a look at some of the match stats for maybe some people that didn't watch the game. They want to know some stuff about the game. So let me interact with this. Obviously, you guys know, unfortunately, Juventus 2-0. But it was a very cagey game. 3 shots on target each, so not a lot. Possession, Juventus had a lot more possession than Napoli, 57 against 43. And this is what I'm saying, guys. Napoli had to play a different game from what they played today. They were playing too defensive. We won 6-0 against Fiorentina. What are we doing playing so defensively? Why do we have only 43% possession, 419 passes? That's about 200 passes less than Napoli usually do. And look at our pass accuracy. We have 81%, whereas Juve have 89%. So, we couldn't get passing going, but that was thanks to Juventus. And I showed you guys some pictures of Juventus pressing us, being all in our half of the field. And, that was credit to them. They choked us and we couldn't get out of their pressing and we couldn't string 3 balls together. So, it was difficult for Napoli. The ref was actually quite good with yellow cards. He kept it under control, 1 each. I thought maybe there were a few cases where, he could have have given Juventus a few more yellow cards. There was maybe a case for a Lozano yellow card in the first half, but he kept it reserved a bit. But, Juventus absolutely dominated this game, and it was very difficult for Napoli. And it was also thanks to their very, very, very smart formation to have Cuadrado and Danilo playing on the flanks, because Danilo and Cuadrado kept us extremely, extremely quiet down our own flanks, because Insigne and Lozano just couldn't get past them. Danilo and Cuadrado are super fast players, so we were never in a numerical superiority against Juventus. And then you had players like McKenzie and Kulusevski that would come in centrally and occupy the space between the Napoli back four and the Napoli midfield. And so it was very tricky for our own midfield to handle that, and they caused all sorts of trouble for us. And I'm sure for some of you that have been watching since the past 30 minutes, you will have seen the different photos that I showed of how, McKinney attacked our back line, how Cuadrado and Danilo were pressing Insigne very high up the field. For anyone, that has missed those, for example, we've got this situation here where you see Cuadrado super high up against Insigne. There's no way Insigne, even if he collects the ball, is going to get past Cuadrado and just get rid of him. There's just no way. And then we can see the McKinney situation with him getting, through the Napoli defense in this slide here, cutting in all the way from the right, guys. I mean, his run starts from super high up on that screen. He cuts all the way down through our back four and our midfield four, and even cuts through the center backs because of how far away Manolas and Koulibaly are. So, for me, I think Napoli did not play at all a good game. We were defensive, but bad defensively. It wasn't even we were strong defensively. It wasn't like a good catenaccio. It was a bad defensively. And, a team like Bayern today would have ripped us apart. Absolutely ripped us apart, guys. But let's see what else you guys are saying. It's been a while since I read some of your comments right now. Maximus is saying, my nephew's a Juve fan. I don't know where I went wrong, guys. Unfortunately, especially if you guys are from southern Italy, there's a lot of southerners that are Juventus fans, even though they've got, family that live in Naples or even live in Naples or have origins in Naples, guys. There's a lot of Juventus fans in Italy. And yeah, I mean, it's sport, guys. I'm not gonna be, like, screw them, whatever. Like, it's just sport. That's not the kind of channel I am. But definitely, if I had a nephew, he wouldn't be a Juventus fan. So yeah, I think you did do something wrong. But anyone can support who they want. No, I'm just kidding, man. I hope he grows up and he realizes his mistakes, or that you show him his mistakes, guys. Lucas on mobile is saying, can you tell me why Gattuso decided to be so defensive? I think it's because, I'm not sure how many of you guys remember the Coppa Italia final 6 months ago in more than 6 months, 7 months ago in June. Guys, we played quite a defensive game. It went all the way down to penalties, 0-0. And Juventus did not have any clear chances to score. And it was the same today, guys. Juventus scored off a penalty. Okay, Juventus scored off a corner. And that was the only way, really, that they were going to score. I mean, yes, McKinney had that one chance that the ball ended up on the goal line. But apart from that, it didn't seem like Juventus were going to score. Not because we were good defensively, but because Juventus were quite bad offensively. So I think Gattuso played it, let's play defensive, and then let's get Lozano, let's get Mertens, let's get Insigne, let's get some of these guys to, spark some magic and hopefully win the game 1-0. Worst case scenario, we go to penalty shootout. Thing is, if Insigne is having a bad game, if Zielinski is having a bad game, if Lozano can get past Danilo, then your whole plan collapses and we have to wait until penalties. But then if you concede off a corner, which is something that you can't really prepare too much, a deflected deflected header or whatever, then you're screwed. And so I think it was a loser mentality by Gattuso, in my opinion. I think he didn't go there to win the game. He went not to lose and rely on players like Zielinski and Insigne having a good game. And maybe their recent performances made him think that they would have a good game. But you can't rely on that. You got to have a game plan where you go and attack the opposition. Because if I was a Napoli coach right now, or if I was a Napoli coach 3 hours ago, before the game started, guys, I would have been sniffing blood. I would have been, like, Juve are in danger. You got to be a shark in these games. When you play against Juventus, you've got to be a shark. You've got to go and attack. You can't think, oh, they're in a bad run of form. Guys, Juventus in 100 years of history, they've never not turned up for an Italian final. They think they're the best in the land. They're going to turn up. In Europe, that's a different story. But in Italy, they always turn up. So you can't think that just because they lost against Inter, all of a sudden they feel low on confidence. Guys, they've got Ronaldo on the team. They've got Chiellini, Bonucci. Do you think those guys are scared of, Bakayoko or Demme? Or, they go out there to win. Ronaldo goes there to win, guys. And so, especially in a cup final. So I think that's where Gattuso maybe underestimated them a little bit, guys, in my opinion. So Lucas, that's why I think it happened. We underestimated them, and Gattuso just didn't have the guts or the game plan to go and attack them. Anthony is saying, Domenico, why don't you go and read what Gattuso is saying? Guys, last time I went and I read some things from Gattuso. Let's read them live. I'm going to be translating. So I'm going to be reading and translating at the same time. Apologies if this sounds a bit robotic or whatever. Anyways, Gattuso is saying, I thank my players. They did what they should have done. In the first half, we were a bit scared, but we reacted well to the goal in the second half. I want to congratulate my players. We could have done something a little bit more, but I can't, be too mad at the squad. So for me, a coach that says we could have done a little bit more, but I can't be too mad at the squad, guys, what is he saying? It's him that needs to do more. It's him that needs to tell the team, go out and attack. Maybe risk it. Maybe be like, Lozano, listen, if Danilo is going forward, let him go. Trust in Di Lorenzo behind you to get the ball back and stay up. And we'll get the ball to you. So he's the one that has to risk a bit more. And then he's talking about Insigne and his he's saying, when you lose a game that's so important and you miss a penalty, it's tough on him. We all lose together. It's not just Insigne's fault. Everyone can miss penalties. That's fair enough. You don't want to criticize a specific moment in the game. You don't want to criticize a specific player. So good for Gattuso for not saying, Insigne should have scored that. I think Insigne knows he should have scored that. And then they ask him, what were we missing in the game? And he says, it was a game where the two teams respected each other tactically. Juventus created very little. And the first opportunity to score was the one that we had, which is the one that Demme crossed in for Lozano. It wasn't a technically perfect game. There's a lot of lost balls, and as I showed you guys, 81% pass accuracy, which is extremely low on neither side, which I think is not necessarily true. I think it was worse for Napoli. And he's saying, it was a game that was decided by single episodes, so single moments. And, that's the thing. You don't want to go into a cup final relying on winning the game by a bit of good luck. That's what the lesser of the two teams does. If you're a Stoke City against the Manchester City, guys, of course, Stoke City is not going to bring the game to Manchester City. But, if it's Napoli-Juve, I don't want to see Napoli play defensively. I want to see a final that we go out and attack. We won 6-0. So, we were coming off the back of a good win. We should have gone there and attacked. And and then they asked him about how different this was compared to the Coppa Italia final that we won a few months ago. And he was saying 7 months ago it was more or less the same. Actually, we suffered more 7 months ago than we did today. I don't recall any dangerous episodes or any dangerous chances by Juventus. Wrong. There was definitely this one, which was very dangerous, Mr. Gattuso. So, I cut you out on your lie. Anyways, he's saying we could have done better. We were unlucky. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think it's luck. There was obviously the missed penalty. That's luck partly, but I think we shouldn't have relied on that. We should have done more. Just Gattuso basically not saying that he could have done more. It's actually a very difficult interview for me to read because I disagree with everything that Gattuso is saying. And I like Gattuso. I like it when he takes responsibility, but today he didn't take responsibility. So when it mattered the most, he didn't take responsibility. I think he's feeling the pressure. I don't think he wants to jeopardize his contract talks. But I'm disappointed in what he had to say straight after the game, that he didn't say, we should have attacked more. Salvatore Di Brita is saying Supercoppa would have been nice, but the Gulf top 4 and a deep Europa run is still intact. Plus, we know how to play Juve now when we meet them in the league. Guys, do we know how to play Juve? Do we? I mean, we know how not to play, but there's 2,000 ways to play a football game. So not necessarily we'll get it right. I'm not saying that we won't. I'm just saying it's not like we're gonna go and play Juve now and we're gonna win 3-0 because we know exactly where we went wrong and we know exactly what to do right. It's still gonna be a tough game, guys, and it's gonna play with the players mentally. The fact that they lost, hopefully we're strong enough mentally to actually take that loss and convert it into anger and convert it into, work ethic and desire to do more and prove that we are better than Juventus, which is what the league table is showing. Because, in these 90 minutes, yes, Juventus won. Yes, I think they deserved to win the game. I'll admit that. I'm not hiding the truth here. But I do think that Napoli on their day is a better team than Juventus, which is why I'm sad that we didn't take the game to Juventus. Alex Juarez is saying, would you rather lose this game and win the next game in the league versus Juve, or rather have won and tie the league game? Guys, because Juventus is coming up very soon, so I think it's on, is it on Valentine's Day? Is it like the 14th of February, 13th or 14th? One of those two dates. Because it's so soon, I would say, yeah, I'd rather win against Juventus in the league because, it's something that we can then immediately, this cup final, something that we can immediately put behind us. If Juventus was like the last game of the season, maybe I would have been like, let's actually have won this game and then we could have made a nice run until the end of the season off the back of this win. Because I think that this game could hurt us mentally a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next game, the players don't come out 100% if they're going to be feeling this a little. But who knows, guys? Maybe the players didn't really put it 100% because they want to focus more on the league. So who knows? Top 4 is still up for grabs. Europa League run is up for grabs, just like Salvatore Di Brita is saying. And Jesse saying, yes, it's true that today can have a negative impact on the team. Maximus saying, don't care much about the Supercoppa, cared more because it was Juve, sick of them. I think, guys, that sort of sums it up, really. As I said, I don't care too much about winning the trophy itself. I don't think it means anything, this one. The Coppa Italia is already like, it's nice to win, but for me, it's either Serie A or a European Cup. Coppa Italia is like a little nice like pat on the back, like, okay, you're not that bad. But Supercup for me is it doesn't mean anything. But what I do care about is beating Juventus. it sucks to lose. It sucks. It's going to hurt going on Twitter and reading all the Juventus tweets and all that sort of stuff and all that. And it's a shame for Insigne, because Insigne, local lad, he cares a lot about beating Juventus. And, you know, for him to miss the penalty, which could have been 100th goal for Napoli, is going to have an effect on him. Lucas is saying Koulibaly should be club captain. Guys, we discussed Insigne, whether he should be captain or not, quite a few times. I think, guys, I might have to do a separate video on this one, but I think you can't remove Insigne as captain unless you decide, all right, that's it, guys, we're selling him. Because there is no way in a million years Insigne is going to step onto that field and be okay with it without having the captain's armband. It almost never happens that someone gives it away. It happens when you have someone like Messi in the team, when you have someone like Maradona, when you have someone like so much better than anybody else, that the captain himself is like, you know what, like you are just phenomenal, here you go. But if you're the local guy and you're basically one of the top 3 or 4 in the team anyways, and no one's a mile better than you, and there's no way you're gonna give that armband away. I mean, we saw what happened with Icardi, for example, at Inter. So you know, he decided. Well, Spalletti at the time decided to take away the captain's armband from Icardi, and what happened was that, you know, the changing room split, you know, and Icardi created a huge mess for Inter. So I don't want that sort of thing to happen for Napoli with Insigne. I think it would be a shame for Insigne and for Napoli if that comes to it. Anyways, you guys are saying block Torro Mimimi. Let me see if I... what's he saying, guys? I don't know. Guys, if there are bots, then please, block them. Apologies, you know, if they do come up. It's not something that I am controlling at the moment. One thing that I would like to say before we continue with this post-match stream is, guys, if you're watching this and you like the stats and you like the screenshots and the tactical analysis and the comments that we're reading, then smash that like button, because doctors say it makes the pain of losing to Juventus go away. So smash that like button. You'll feel better about it. You know, if you want to take out your frustration about losing the game, then like smash it like really, really hard. Just don't smash it twice, because then it removes the like, guys. So thank you for doing that. Let me get rid of this thing here, because it's going to be distracting for you guys. Thank you for those that actually did that in the last 5 seconds. MS Gaming 7 is saying Napoli are so bad. Napoli are so bad. Yeah, we get it, bro. We get it. I can definitely hide this user. Guys, if you're gonna come on this stream and just, you know, spam, get out. You know, what are you, like 7 years old, guys? Come on, it's bedtime. Anthony Navarro is saying, Domenico, they aren't bots, they're just Juve fans that are coming here being toxic. I know, what a sad, guys. This is Juventus. They just won a cup final against Napoli. Go celebrate. Go have some ice cream. Go pop some champagne. You know, what are you doing coming on a Napoli stream? We're not even saying bad things about you guys. You know, I didn't say a single bad thing about Juventus. So, you know, It is what it is, man. That thing does not affect me one bit. I'm sorry for you guys in the chat that actually has to read through that stuff. Anyways, what are we saying here? Guys, I want you guys to put down in the comment section right now, question time. Let's call this question time. I'm going to try to do this in every live. A question for all of you guys to just put in the comments your things. Question time. Do you think Gattuso is the guy for Napoli long term? I don't mean right now. I don't mean to fire him right now. But I'm thinking next year. is he someone that we need to, consider for next year? Or do you think De Laurentiis is, thinking, hold up, I didn't like how we approached this final, So let me know in the comments. I'm seeing a yes, no, yup, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Anthony saying yes, Gattuso is the answer. Guys, give me a reason. Give me a yes or no and a quick one-line reason. Yes, so I can bounce off of that. Yes, all he needs is experience. Saying Lucas on mobile. Visavi saying I'd say yes, Gattuso should stay at least 3 years in my opinion. Not long term, but for the next 2 years. Okay, so, and someone is saying yes, he changed players like Lozano. Guys, I think I agree with that. Because here's the thing, guys. There's not anyone that I see in the market right now for coaches that I think would do a better job than Gattuso. We've got obviously the unnameable Sarri, but he's never going to come back to Napoli. He's too smart for that. He left Sarri, and it's not obviously clear that he can replicate that at other teams. It didn't work with Chelsea. It didn't work with Juventus. This Napoli team is different from the Napoli team that Sarri had. So Sarri wouldn't risk his legacy at Napoli to come back to us. Allegri would be an answer, but honestly, between Gattuso and Allegri, I'd take Gattuso any day, because Allegri would have played the same way today as Gattuso this cup final. He would have played it defensive. He would have waited for a moment of magic from Insigne or something like that, and then when he won, he would have been like, "Oh, I'm such a great coach," which is exactly what Gattuso was doing today. So, and then every other coach is either just as good as Gattuso, or their salary is just way out of the picture. So I do agree. I think let's stick with Gattuso. He's got room for improvement, and even though he says some things on his post-match interviews which kind of annoy me, he doesn't take enough responsibility for some stuff. I do think that behind the scenes he is shouting at the players. He is telling them, "What did you do?" And we shouldn't take his words post-game too seriously, as in that's not really what Gattuso is thinking. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Samuel M is saying, I think that with Osimhen for full season and Lozano in form, Koulibaly in defense, maybe a midfield signing, he can challenge for the title. Guys, I think any coach could challenge for the title with a fully fit team. The thing is, guys, it's almost unthinkable that a team goes with all their key players on form, no injuries whatsoever. And another thing about Koulibaly, guys, he's turning 30. And last year he was out 2 months after he injured himself against Parma. This year he was out again for a few weeks after injuring himself in December. He's starting to become injury prone, Koulibaly. So, is he a defender that we can rely on for the future? As in, yes, he is obviously the best player probably at Napoli, one of the top 3 defenders. But I'm saying, in 2 years' time, in 1 year time, are we going to be sure that he's going to play the full season? Not going to jinx it, but it's just a thought that I had recently. But, if he is fully fit, 100%. Exactly, Danny Bomba is saying, just like Van Dijk, guys, you could be the best player in the world, but then, you get injured. So, for me, Lozano has this form, great. Hopefully he keeps it up next year. Mertens, he's going to be 34 next year. Insigne is going to be in his 30s. Koulibaly is going to be in his 30s. Manolas is going to be, maybe he's also quite injury prone. So, yes, we've got Osimhen, we've got other players, but then the younger players, like the Elmas, for example, he's not shining. So does this team actually have enough to challenge for a title next year? Because I think on our day, we are good enough to beat anyone, and I mean anyone. But over 38 games, I don't think we have the squad depth to challenge for a title. Because, a title is not just about your starting 11. It's about your 23-man squad. If you look at teams like, Liverpool, they managed to win a title with 100 points, but they have world-class players. And yes, they only played with like 13, 15 players, but they're world class, every single one of them. I can't say the same thing about Napoli. So when you have, great players but not world class, you really do need all 23. And that's one of the reasons why Sarri never won with us, because at that time we did have a great starting 11 but no squad depth. So who knows, guys, who knows? But yeah, potentially Gattuso with a fully fit squad all season, hypothetically, then he could do a good job. But, a lot depends on other teams as well. Rocco is saying, I feel Napoli were bad in attack. They had to play quicker. That's another thing. They slowed the game down too much. Maybe Zielinski, too many touches. Insigne, too many touches. Some of you are joining quite late right now, so let me talk while I have the player ratings on the screen right now. The front four, let's include Bakayoko in there. 5 of the top 6 players, let's say, the highest score was a 6 out of 10, in my opinion. Apart from Demme, everyone else just played too slow, missed some chances. To be fair, maybe Lozano deserves a 6.5, but the 2 chances that we did have, apart from the penalty, it was Lozano that didn't score them. But I don't want to rip into him too hard because he's been fantastic for us, and defensively he was great. But maybe he should have, played a bit more attacking as well. What are we guys saying? We are Ludin saying, I'm afraid what Gattuso said on post-match will reflect Napoli performance next. Guys, I think Gattuso, with his team, he says something completely different from what he tells the media. So there is no way of knowing what it is that the players are actually, receiving from Gattuso. The one thing that is not nice is how Gattuso, to the public, doesn't own his mistake that we played too defensively, guys. I think that he should definitely say we played too defensively. Bakayoko was asleep. Zielinski took too many touches. Insigne didn't dare dribble past Quadrado. Lozano struggled to get past Danilo. Petagna struggled so much against Bonucci and Chiellini. Petagna was, just irrelevant in attack. Completely useless. Came back to defend a few times. Lost the ball. Bad day for Petagna. And Manolas as well, with a few defensive mistakes. One of them leading to the Juventus corner, which Juventus scored a goal from. Just a bad display from Napoli. And I'm disappointed, especially though. I think if I had to pick, another player, Elmas as well, because Elmas had about 30 minutes to prove his worth in today's game. He played against Napoli. He's had so many different chances to prove himself this year, and it seems like he's taken a step back from the year before, which is really worrying because this kid is a diamond. He needs to unlock that talent because it's there, guys. It's there. He showed it before. He shows it for his national team, but he's got to show it for Napoli, and he's got to find a position. We've seen him now at Bakayoko's position. He came on for Bakayoko. We've seen him play at Insigne's position, and we've seen him play at Zielinski's position. So he's played center mid, center attacking mid, and left wing. And this whole season, he's not been able to play well in none of those positions, and that's worrying for me. That's worrying because Elmas should be a young guy that's thirsty to win, and just show everyone your talent. And it's very, very frustrating. Vetso just saying Elmas fits in the wing, not in the center. I do agree that probably Elmas is better on the wing in Insigne's position. However, I do think that he has the talent to play well as a number 10, play well as a center mid. He's got to be versatile. He's got to be more versatile than that, because someone like Zielinski, we see him now at that number 10 spot, but he can also play where Insigne is. He can also play where Bakayoko is. he's a complete player, and the best players, you can put them in any position. Because what are we talking about here, guys? When we guys, ignore. Let me get rid of this thing, guys, because I think people are getting a bit confused. When we talk about formations, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about 10 meters on a field. 10 meters. It doesn't change drastically. It shouldn't change drastically your performance. As long as you're not like a defensive midfielder playing left wing, then fine. You know, all due respect, that's not your position. But if we're talking about Elmas, for sure he can play both number 10 and winger, more or less the same. But for me, I feel like he's just average, been average the whole season. And yeah. But guys, I mean, what are we talking about? 10 meters here and there. So for me, Elmas should cover that whole patch there, you know, from left wing to number 10 to center mid. He should know how to play those positions. You know, it's not been working out for him this season. Anthony Navarro is saying, going back to Gattuso, is saying, Lorenzo should not feel responsible. One can miss penalty kicks. I'm the responsible one for the defeat. It's not his fault. We lost this game. He did defend Insigne and did say he is responsible, but he didn't say why he was responsible. You know, that seems to be like a phrase that you just take out of, you know, the coach's handbook. You know, your player misses a penalty, you got to say that, you know, you're the one responsible for it. But guys, actually, I think Gattuso should have come out and said, I prepared the game to be defensive. I thought maybe there was going to be a moment of brilliance from one of our players, but that didn't work out. I messed up. We need to play more attacking. We're Napoli. The good coaches, they come out and say stuff like that. You know, I'm sure if this was Klopp, he would say something like that. So I think he hid a bit too much about where he went wrong. You know, just saying it's your fault is not enough. You got to say why. You also owe it to the fans. You know, we pay money to watch football games. Some of us do it on streaming. But I mean, we deserve to know your true thoughts on the game. So for me, it's not good enough from Gattuso, that interview. Just not good enough. And he needs to do a bit more explaining. Daniel Bowen saying, what is the real status on Osimhen? He has tested negative now. How many more negatives does he need to return? Guys, I think Osimhen is going to return maybe by the end of the month, on the 31st. If not, sometime in early February. I do think he tested negative, and I do think that he tested negative twice, so he should be training with the team for sure, guys, but he's still got to do some therapy on his shoulder. I think right now the situation with Osimhen is that he's running on the treadmill, but it's a bit early for him to have physical contact with players. So once he's able to train with them, then it should be fine. But hopefully throughout this past 2-3 months, he's been keeping himself relatively fit, because guys, we need him to be snappy. But I have no question in my mind that Osimhen is going to come into this Napoli team and absolutely smash it, because he didn't play for 7 months before, when French League finished in March, and then he started the Serie A perfectly. So I have no question in my mind that he's going to take very little time to get into the rhythm. It's just a matter of when can he start training physically with the team. We need, Danny Baum is saying, we need to be able to spot more amazing talents before others. Imagine we found Haaland. Guys, Haaland was actually quite close to signing for Napoli. Fun fact, Lewandowski was close to signing for Napoli before he went to Bayern Munich, before he went to Dortmund even. So we do actually have a very, very good scouting network. The issue is that other clubs, you know, are also just as good. We have other clubs also like Arsenal that tends to just take whatever name is associated with Napoli. Arsenal just tends to come in and swoop that player. But Napoli do need to improve, I think, primarily their youth academy. We've got this young guy, Cioffi, coming in soon. I think that's going to be interesting. We didn't see too much of him against Fiorentina, 10 minutes, but the few moments that we did see him, just the way he ran, the way he touched the ball, It seems promising, guys. Obviously, long road ahead for him. This is where it really starts. But if he's the only one that made it out of the Napoli Youth Academy over recent years, then there must be something to him, because no one else managed to get through that academy except Gaetano. So we're talking about 2 players in the last 5-6 years, which is very, very low. But it means that these players have maybe something about them. Let's see. The question, Maximus is saying, the question is for how long Ossi to get back to form when he finally plays. Guys, I think when he's ready to play, he's going to come back to form. As I said, I don't think he takes very long to get back to form. Also because of his physique. Yes, he is big, but he's very lean, very agile. So he's not a type of player like Petagna that needs a lot of games to get into rhythm. You know, that tends to be more of a problem with big, strong strikers, midfielders, center backs. But Osimhen, he's thin. You know, it's not going to take him that long to get into rhythm. So that's my opinion of him. And we are Ludin is saying Koulibaly and Insigne are going 30 next year. This will be our concern. Buying new players in this position, yes, we do need new players in that position. We do need a player like Boga as a backup for Insigne, because as I said, Elmas is not delivering right now, so we can't rely on Elmas. God forbid something happens to Insigne for a long term, then we are screwed. And you know, God forbid something happens to Koulibaly, because Maximovic might leave. Rahmani is the only other guy. And, you know, he had a decent game against Empoli, but we saw what he did against Udinese, so it's still 50-50. So for sure we need solid, internationally proven players as backup, because Rahmani is not internationally proven. You put him in a, you know, Europa League quarterfinal, that's the highlight of his career. You know, he's going to make a DVD out of that performance, even if he scores an own goal. So, you know, for me, we do need backup in that position, and we do actually need to invest in someone that's already established himself, not too old, someone like Socrates, you know, who's like 38, but someone who's 27, 28, who has 10 at least appearances in Europa or Champions League, something like that. Now you guys are saying I was too savage on Rahmani. Yeah, you know, I still just can't get over what he did against Udinese. So it's gonna take a while for him to win me over on that one. Lozano can play on left wing if something happens to Insigne. Okay, so something happens to Insigne, you play Lozano left wing. Then you play Politano on the right, and then what? Who's gonna come in as a substitute? So we are missing a bit of depth. So yeah, I think just one more player in each department. I think we need a left winger. Because I think Lozano now has been converted to right wing. I think he's fantastic in that position. So we need a backup for Insigne, another central midfielder on top of confirming Bakayoko, even though he played badly today, and a center back and a left back, but a left back to start, because Mario Rui cannot start every single game. He's also reaching his 30s. He's probably in his 30s already, actually. So we do need that. Giuntoli, De Laurentiis, and Gattuso have a lot to do in the summer, because they're not buying anyone right now. So in the summer, I do expect big money to be spent, but that means that we need to get into the top 4, guys, 100%. We cannot miss out on top 4, because otherwise it means we have to sell. And it's probably going to mean selling Fabian, which is, you know, that's fine. But it's maybe going to mean selling Koulibaly at a discounted price, maybe 45-50 million. Because, you know, the club needs to survive, and they need new players, younger players. And if it means selling Koulibaly, who's going to be 30, 31, to get a 24-year-old, then that's what the club needs to do, because the club needs to survive. So it is worrying if we don't get into the Champions League. If we do get into the Champions League, we can afford not to sell our own players and use the Champions League money instead to buy them. Mr. Assiduous is saying, I subscribed. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that's subscribing. 68 likes. Thank you. You guys smashed it. Thanks to all your likes in the previous video against Fiorentina. We got over 2.3k views in a few hours. That's huge for me. I know it's very little compared to some other huge YouTube channels, but this is a relatively young YouTube channel, guys. So thank you for everyone that does that, you know, and for me that means a lot. It means you guys are liking this, and it makes me want to do more lives. So, you know, if you do like this content and you're not subscribed, then subscribe. But a lot of you are, guys. I'm you know, proud to say that about 70% of the people that watch my channel are subscribed. So, you know, it is quite nice. Subscribe, because it really helps me out, and you guys are amazing. And comment more on the chat, because, you know, I love discussing this stuff with you guys. Anthony Navarro is saying Emerson needs to get over here. 100%, guys. It seems like Junior Firpo from Barcelona might be heading to Milan, actually. So our only option, the hot one left, is Chelsea's Emerson, who plays behind Insigne in the Italian national team. So they've got good chemistry, but that seems to be like the only thing bubbling in the pan right now. But that's for the summer, I think. I don't think Tagliafico is something that is being discussed recently. As I said, Junior Firpo, Milan, and everybody else, I don't think would be a step up from Mario Rui, unless we get someone like Robertson, for example. Alessio Lucchini is saying, I think Demme is doing better than Fabian right now. Guys, Demme is doing so much. I was explaining how Demme was very, very instrumental in how we pressed, and how he's so smart in pressing, guys. He goes and presses at the right time when Napoli's attack is fully positioned, so that we press as a block when Bakayoko is standing back, so that in case Arthur moves the ball forward, we've still got cover. And he presses the right guy. He presses Arthur instead of pressing a random center back. So he presses the guy who's actually going to do something for Juventus. And he does it when Arthur is facing the other way, so that you know, he doesn't have to go on one-on-one against him. He sort of just backs him off into his own box. And I think that's really good from Demme, and he's so good at that. And I'm glad I managed to capture that moment in the game, because it's something that Fabian, he doesn't pick the right times to press. He does press, just not at the right times at times. Anyways, guys, I am extremely tired. I need to let this defeat sink in, and I need to go to bed. I have work in the morning tomorrow, guys, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have this discussion with you guys. Thank you for joining the live chat. It's been a very frustrating game, but at least we got some good discussions going, and hopefully we continue our run in the league, which is the most important thing for us. It's just a small cup, guys, the one that we'll let them have it. We'll get the Coppa Italia, we'll get the top four. Juventus will be, you know, out of Europa League spots. It's fine, guys. So anyways, enjoy your Wednesdays, everyone, and as always, Forza Napoli sempre.